Alright, good day fine traveler, and welcome back to another video, continuing where we left off from the previous speed paint. Yay! We are finally done with all of the super sketchy bits and we are moving on to the line art. So grab yourself a delicious cup of dirty bean water and yes, let us go through this journey together. Unlike last time, there are no guests in my house, so I feel much less self-conscious about yelling into a mic, and it's actually quite fun. If you haven't done this, you probably should. It's quite relaxing. Feels good. Like I said, we're finally done with the sketchy bit of this artwork, and again, it doesn't normally take me this long, but you know what? Whatever. It was a redraw, so I had a certain image, a certain pose, a certain thing, a certain mood that I already had to capture in this, so I think trying to make sure that I did catch it took me a little bit longer. But we're finally done with that, and now we're moving on to line art. And line art is it's a thing. It's a lot of redrawing of the same thing that you've been drawing for the past how many hours I've been working on this. And yeah, as you can see here, for example, lots of hair to be done. I know with me, line art is quite important because if you delete the sketchy bits and the line art has to be really perfect. With the sketch, for example, you can just have these rough lines and you're like, okay, it captures the mood and the atmosphere. But as soon as you move on to the line art, you gotta have one solid line that encompasses the same feeling, the same mood. And especially with hair, for me, that can get a bit difficult when I'm doing curly hair, like Aewen has. Because it's really easy to just, you know, cross over some lines and have a couple of gaps or whatever. But yeah, if you actually spend time and you make sure that your line art is pretty good, then the rest of it is... you just feel better if you know that it's perfect and it looks better, it looks a bit more professional. And then, on the other hand, you have some images and some styles that don't have line art at all, and that is just as great and kind of difficult to do as well. I've been experimenting with a bit more of a paintery style over the last month, and I must say it's actually quite fun. It's really challenging and it takes me quite a bit longer to paint like that, but I mean, it's a new style, you have to train yourself and get into it, but it's been super fun. I feel like this voiceover is going so super quickly, but I'm actually with the previous voiceovers, I did not really sync it to the video while I was recording it, so I was just kind of watching it and yammering on. This time I'm actually trying to time the voiceover to the video, and yeah, it's interesting. It just feels like it's going so much quicker now at this point, and I feel like I'm talking a lot faster as well, so... But like I said, there are many different ways that you can paint. Your line art varies quite heavily depending on the style you want to do. For example, I always paint with my brush sensitivity on, and that means when I draw with my tablet, the harder you press down on the pen, the thicker the line will be, as like it mimics drawing in real life. The harder you press, the thicker your line. Because I like doing that. I like having a line variation in my line art. I know some people like having one solid thickness in their line throughout the entire thing. It has quite an interesting look. Yeah, some people make it look really cool. I'm not the biggest fan of working that way, but yep, to each his own. I know, especially if you go look at old school like Marvel comics and DC comics, stuff like that, they put quite an emphasis on line variation. Manga does that as well, but that's kind of, you know, because it is traditionally drawn. I just like it. It makes it seem a bit more realistic. It makes it seem like the artwork has a bit more character to it, some life, some depth. And then, like I said earlier, you have some people that don't work with line art at all. You just go for this really more realistic painted style of drawing, and that's also pretty cool. Obviously, you can start with a sketch and then you go from there. And then there are people who have kind of like an in between the two, where it's not a outlined character like you'd see here, or any cartoon where it's this proper like black outline and then colored inside of it. It's something in between of the lines kind of form the same color, but it's also sort of blurred, but you can see there's a line still. It's also quite visually very interesting, and I really like that. I want to experiment with that as well. But yeah, a whole bunch of things that I've been playing around with. Anyways, back to this thing. Like I said, this is the line art. After this, I finally start with the color. And my process, as you'll see, I start with just a base color, so you have a different color on different levels. I try to bring it into this video as well, where I show you that you kind of paint on different levels. For example, I always put my eyes into a group. So I have my eyes outline, the outline for the iris and the base and all of that just into one single group, because my eye layers tend to have at least 5 separate layers that I work with. And I can get a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Disorganized, a bit messy if you just keep it all out there. Yes, as you can see, I just make a group and put everything in there. But yeah, for my color, I tend to put like my skin on one layer, I put the clothing on a different layer, the hair on a different layer, and that just makes it a lot easier when I start to shade it, because then I can just create a clipping mask and go from there. Normally, if I want to change the outline color as well, I'll put all of that on a separate layer, but that didn't happen in this piece, so I just put it all onto a single outline thing. But yeah, alright, there you go. That is the end of this video. Again, it feels like this one went super quick, but that might just be me. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope that you've been enjoying the other videos as well. I've been having a lot of fun making these and editing it and putting it all together. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I hope you have a fantastic day further. Bye-bye!